Okay, today I'd like to talk about the top 3 myths around meditation in general. The first of these is that it is all about stopping thinking. This isn't actually true. Meditation is a process or an activity, however you want to describe it, in which we become more familiar with ourselves. We explore who we are. And over time and with practice, we do indeed descend into states of being where there is a great deal of silence, where there effectively is little or no thinking. But that doesn't mean to say meditation is about stopping thinking. In fact, during our meditation practices, we are advised to notice thoughts, to let them go, and then simply come back to the object of our meditation. And it is through this continuing process of going through these steps of letting go of our thoughts that we eventually, over time with practice, become more and more calm, more and more at peace. And this isn't because we tried to stop thoughts or stop thinking. We simply learned to wean ourselves off the need to react and to respond to them. Now, the second myth I'd like to cover is how we sit. Most meditation that we are taught and we practice is all about sitting. And there's a great deal of misunderstanding here about the fact that we need to sit cross-legged in order to effectively meditate. Nothing could be further from the truth. Sitting cross-legged is more of a cultural thing. If we go back to the roots of meditation in places like India and Tibet and so on, people often do sit cross-legged. It was part of their culture. And certainly the people who became full-time practitioners of meditation and so on didn't own any furniture, didn't own any chairs. So they would have naturally just sat cross-legged on the floor. And that's the big difference between them and us Westerners. Westerners are, generally speaking, not used to sitting on the floor. We've invented chairs and settees and whatever else in order to assist us in the process of sitting. And that's where we should meet our meditation. In order to get into the correct posture for meditation when we're sitting, all we need to do is make sure that our hips are about 2 to 3 inches above the level of our knees. And that is a pretty rough guide, but a generally effective guide to help people to get into the right sitting position. We also keep our feet flat on the floor to help us stay grounded during our meditation. So if you do run into any teachings or teachers who seem to insist on you sitting on the floor, sitting cross-legged and so on, they've really missed the point. It has little or nothing to do with meditation itself. It's more of a cultural facet, a cultural hangover, if you like, from what is the predominant source of meditation teachings, which is the Far East and Near East and so on. Now, the third myth I'd like to explore and to question is the bliss of awakening. Now, some people are motivated by doing meditation in order to explore more blissful states, more ecstatic states of being. And that's perfectly understandable. You know, that's something which many of us would like to experience and enjoy. But it's not really the end point or the objective of a long-term spiritual life. A spiritual life, in a way, goes on for a lifetime. Along the way, there will be ups and downs, just as any other aspect of our lives. Sometimes meditation is incredibly boring. Sometimes we occasionally get these glimpses, these experiences of bliss, of awakening and so on. These deep insights into our souls, into life, into the universe and so on. But what we need to remember is that the other side of these awakened states is seeing through who we aren't. And it's very often that process of seeing that we're not who we thought we were, or we're not what we thought we were, is part and parcel of that insight. And for many people, particularly if they have very deep states of awakening, that can be quite disorientating. Suddenly who they thought they were, they're not really that person anymore. And they can find that instead of simply experience the bliss of these awakenings, they find themselves feeling a little lost. They can find themselves demotivated in life. They can find that things that once interested them, or people that once interested them, simply don't anymore. So don't be fooled by thinking that meditation is all about reaching some blissful state where you'll be happy ever after. I tend to compare it to the getting married process, where people often experience what is called the experience of feeling really happy and joyful at being together in what is often called here in the West the honeymoon phase. So for a period of weeks, months, perhaps even years with some people, they feel incredibly joyful that they're married with this person whom they often love very much. But sooner or later that honeymoon phase wears off and they're left with the reality of married life, or perhaps having children and so on, which has a very different flavour to it. It is a very different experience. So I hope you find the exploration of these top 3 myths useful to you. If you do, please like and subscribe the channel so more people can find these teachings and experience even more realistic results in their meditations.